Hi, welcome to this half-hour yin practice. I'm Devi. We'll do some 2-minute holds, starting with the upper body, moving down to the lower body, and we'll get started in Seiza pose. So go ahead and sit on your heels. Closing the eyes and sitting with the spine tall. With the hands resting inside of the lap, one palm inside of the other. Take a few moments here to center, to feel the earth below your body, your shins, and feet connected to the ground. And 3 breaths in and out. And allowing the eyes to open and stretching into the neck, the upper body to begin. We will take the head over toward the right side. So stretching into the left side of the neck here. And the hands can rest on the ground or whatever arm and hand position is comfortable. And you can play around with whether the nose tilts up or tilts down. And this is just a warm-up for the actual pose that we're moving toward, which is the rolling panda pose. So taking your right hand now, and we're moving into phase 2 of our warm-up, and the right hand comes to the shoulder. And there's a feeling here of kind of pulling the back skin of the shoulder forward, and this is your trapezius muscle that connects from the middle, upper back, between the shoulder blades and up to the shoulder. So pull that forward as you let your nose point down to the ground a little bit more. Take this arm, left arm, and cross it over to get a little more of this sensation. So phase 2 is the side of the neck stretch and this upper back. And now phase 3 is moving into a more intentional forward bending here, where the chin comes more toward the chest, really more kind of aggressively pulling the shoulder down. And so it's somewhat of a side bend, but turning a bit more into an upper back forward bend. So this is to give you the target areas for the pose we're about to move into, the rolling panda. So starting on the hands and knees, and take your left arm under the right. So it's like what you've probably seen before as thread the needle pose. Phase 1 is just this side of the neck stretch. So not trying to get the shoulder through yet, just getting this side of the neck stretch. And both knees maybe are staying on the ground right now. Good. Moving now into phase 2, which is to get this left shoulder closer down to your right knee, a few inches, and now lengthen the side of your neck, the left side of your neck away, so that there's more space between the left ear and the left shoulder. And maybe a little more turn of the head here as well, so maybe your gaze is turning up to the sky. It's all about what feels good in your range of motion. Some people at this point will like to take this hand behind the back. Some people will like to take this leg out to the side, but I'm going to save that for phase 3. So let's take it into the phase 3 now, and the right leg out to the side, and take your chin more toward your chest so that you move this side stretch into a little bit more of a forward bending sensation. And it's almost like you could roll over into a twisted somersault here, but you're not going to actually roll. So this is phase 3, a little more forward bend. And I want you at this point to choose which of these you want to be in for another minute. Phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. Not everyone needs to turn this leg out to the side to open this kickstand leg out. Some people like to do the whole thing with both knees on the ground. So have a play. Experimenting with the angles of things is definitely part of this pose. Slowly now release both knees to the ground and slowly make your way back up to Seiza. And just take a few moments here in Seiza with the spine upright. Notice what you feel here on the left side of the neck, left upper back, outer shoulder, deltoid muscle, trapezius. And second side now, taking your right arm across and reaching over. So the first part is taking the outer shoulder. Oh, and actually we'll do the side of the neck. So those are the two parts of the first part, is the shoulder and the neck. Starting with the neck here. Again, the arms can rest on the ground where you're comfortable. And now taking this right arm across and holding the arm in with the left hand is still phase one. Feeling this outer shoulder, upper arm stretch. Great. And now dropping this hand to the outside of the leg as you take the left hand up and draw the trapezius down. And you can play around again with the angle of your chin, the angle of your nose. Good, and now phase three, bringing it into more of an intentional forward bend, twisted forward bend with more drop of the chin down toward the chest, maybe chin toward the left armpit. All right, very good. That's our prep. Now coming into the pose, hands and knees. And phase one, right arm slides under the left, coming to that side bend, not trying to get the gaze up to the ceiling yet, not trying to bring the head very far through. So not even trying to make a twist out of this. This pose is often taught in the outer world, the non-yin world, as a twist, and we're really emphasizing something different here, this side bending and trapezius upper back thing here. So moving into second phase, draw the right shoulder or walk it down toward your left knee, and then stretch the right ear toward or away from the body, away from the shoulder. Sticky mat is great for this if you're on one, because you have that extra bit of traction to keep the shoulder down there. And phase three now, taking this left leg out to the side like a kickstand, tuck the head farther through, hand behind the back if you like, or up over the head. And now taking one more minute in your favorite phase, which might be right here, or it might be phase one or two. And releasing, coming back around to the center, back into Seiza, and sitting, taking a rebound here with the spine upright, closing the eyes, feeling the effects. feeling any sense of energy moving. Sometimes the feeling after our yin postures is described as a feeling of opening the floodgates. So we put ourselves into a position that stopped the energy or the chi from flowing for a few minutes. And then now it all gets to rush through. And letting the eyelids come open. Make your way into a sitting position with the left leg out in front, half butterfly pose, right leg bent, and come forward over this left leg, 2 minutes in your forward bend. You can take it into any variation of this. You can use props as you like. A pillow under the seat can be quite helpful. Hands are on the floor, the ankle, the foot, whatever works for you. And you might find different stretches as you veer to the right or to the left. You can play around with that and see which angle feels just right today. And coming up, lift up the spine, take your time changing sides, right leg forward, left leg in, adjust the hips as you need to, 2 minutes over the second side. And releasing, coming up and make your way down onto your back. Rest on the back. Taking the time to rebound, to feel the effects. You may notice sensations in the back of the body, the backs of the legs and the torso, the spine, which have just been stretched. And you may notice this sensation move and change and shift. And stretch your arms up over your head, stretch way down long through your legs. Inhale, and as you exhale, take the hands back down to your sides, moving into cattail or a variation of cattail. So come onto your side, and I'll show you from this side because it'll be easier to see. Left elbow on the ground. Take your left foot up and hold the foot in the hand. And if this is not accessible to you, then get a strap or a belt to put around your foot. And now take this right knee to the ground and start to do this kind of like shimmy of the left leg and hip back. So your belly is pointed more toward the ground. And this might be your pose here. We're going for a bit of a twist, so the more you look back toward the right, you'll get a twist. And we're getting also quite a good stretch probably in the front of the thigh on this bottom leg. So some of you might like to lie down and rest your head on your arm or on a pillow. And some of you might come farther into this more of a twist position, bringing the shoulder back toward the earth. And so the key is to keep this knee, this one here, the bottom leg, which is left leg, from creeping forward. You want to keep it back in space, and that's where that nice quad stretch and hip flexor stretch comes from. So once you start getting onto the back here, there might be a need for a pillow under the head or a prop under the foot. And so I like to use a block, sometimes under the head or sometimes under the foot or the knee. Cat tail pose. Your shoulder, if it doesn't touch the ground, no big whoop. It's just about getting things moving in that direction. A twist is shoulders moving one way, hips moving the other way. And the legs here are the levers for the hips. This is a back bend and a twist. And slowly releasing back up to the center. Straighten out your hips and your shoulders, and we'll shift it over to the second side. So resting on your right elbow and the right side of the body. And now it's your bottom leg, right foot comes up in the hand, left hand to right foot. And this left knee, the top leg, has the knee coming to the ground. And now thinking about, or more than thinking about, do it, shift the hip back till you get this knee farther back in space and this funny kind of navel pointing toward the ground thing. And so you can lie down on your side here. You can use your pillow or block under your head to make this more comfortable, because it does get a little funky to just try and rest on the side without head support in this position. And this is a wonderful place to stay if the rest of the moving back is too much for your body. Or you can see how I didn't use a block on the first side, but for me, a block makes a big difference in my comfort under the head. And I start to shift it back, bringing my shoulders more flat on the ground, but keeping this knee moving toward the ground. For some people, knee goes easily to the ground. That's maybe your leg is longer, maybe you have more range of motion twisting in your spine, and others, you might be quite a bit farther up. It's not about where the shoulders are or the knees. It's about the sensation in your spine, in the front of your right thigh, the twist, the back bend, the quad stretch. That's our 2 minutes. Release the pose, shifting to come onto your back. Remove any support that you'd like as we come into a rest. Feeling the rebound of that pretty strong stimulation of the spine. For these rests, you can spread yourself out as much as you'd like so that the energy can really flow through the body, through this channel. And coming to a bent knees position, draw the knees in, hug them into your chest, arms around the legs. And figure 4 pose. Take your right ankle over your left knee and either clasp behind the thigh or in front of the shin. Use a block under the head if you'd like, or some kind of pillow. Stretching into the outer hips now, the glutes on the right side. And releasing and changing sides, left ankle over the right knee. Again, you might not be holding the shin like I am. You might be here holding behind the thigh, which is actually a little bit more common among my students. I like to hold in front of the shin, even though it tweaks my head a little, so then I like to have the block under the head. This is just my preference. Everybody's different. Good, I'm releasing now, stretching out for another rebound, a brief rest. Feeling deeply inside of this body. This breath that's happening right now. And coming into supported bridge with your block. A stack of books will also work if you don't have a block available. To lift the hips, slide this block under the hips. I've got my block at the middle height. You can play around with low, middle, or high height. And the placement of the block is under the bony part of the pelvis, not the soft small of the back, but lower than that, below the waistline. Bridge pose, your feet can be on the ground like so with the knees bent, or you can extend the legs, whichever you like better. Legs can be wide or narrow. And it's quite freeing in to learn about yin and yang yoga, or just more permissive yogas in general, this width of the legs, because somehow it got into the popular yoga instructions that the legs always have to be narrow in back bends, that you're going to hurt yourself if you don't keep your knees hips width apart in your bridge pose and things like that. And that's just nonsense. You can have your legs as wide as you want. You're not going to hurt yourself, and it actually makes the pose easier and safer for some people. So I encourage you to play around with wide legs, narrow legs, even bent legs, different leg positions. It's your body. And our final hurrah here is to elevate the legs with this block under the seat. So for me, I always want to shift my hips a little forward, and just like an inch or two, to better hold my weight once my legs start to go up. And from here, You can hang out in this pose, which is sometimes called the seagrass pose in the yin world. If you have your hands under your hips, you could, do it without a block, and it's like a variation of shoulder stand. Some of you might like to bring this right into some version of a plow pose. So the block could stay under the hips. You could adjust the block so you're not being jabbed by the corner of the block, or you could let the hips come off the block if that's your cup of tea. Hands could stay at the back or extend on the ground or come over the head. So anywhere in here for the last minute. This is to stretch the lower spine, maybe the hamstrings as well. Or if you're bringing it into the snail pose, then more upper spine, middle upper spine. I like to reach arms up typically in my snail, but certainly you don't have to. You can have the arms down here or continuing to support the buttocks. And now release your pose, slowly make your way out, finding your block with your seat if it came off, and then finding the earth with your feet. Once your feet find the earth, lift your hips, slide that block out, and now is time for final Savasana. Make yourself completely comfortable in a star pose with the arms and legs spread out nice and big and wide, or any comfortable resting position. And I will leave you here. You may wish to rest for another couple of minutes or 5 minutes longer, or roll up to a sitting position with me and move on with the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this practice. Thanks so much for joining me, and please hit the thumbs up if you liked this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my latest Yin Yoga video.